metals and the post-lockdown COVID-19 effect. About 4 billion people around the world were locked down in order to avoid the coronavirus spread. Given that huge number, the drop in the world emissions may be down almost by 17 to 20% by the end of year or for the year 2020. Platinum, palladium, and rhodium price recovery from the coronavirus post-lockdown lost some momentum this month, I believe because of the recent US dollar recovery and the consumers having suffered from the end of government support and are getting more concerned with the post-lockdown related worries. Let's look at the chart for the activity happened between March and September activity. The platinum in the year started with $1,000, and during the March month, platinum was almost $550. And we saw platinum rebounding almost over $1,020 last week. So basically what we have seen in the post-lockdown recovery, I kept it very stabilized on the platinum price action. Next chart, please. Looking at the palladium, we have seen the same effect, where the palladium start for the yearly was much over $2,200 an ounce, and during the March and September period, from $1,650 drop, it has come back to where it was almost during the start of the year. Next chart, please. Looking at the rhodium, basically tells us a lot of things why the rhodium price action changed so much drastically. Rhodium price started with about $6,000. During the March month, the lowest we saw was $5,500 after getting dropped from $10,000 price. And it has moved to over $14,500 last week. So since May 2020, if we look at it from the last session that we had, platinum is lower about $100 from the start of the year. Palladium is lower about $100 from the start of the year. Rhodium is still $7,000 higher than the start of the year, which is 115%. So it does tell us the demand and supply working to support prices, because overall the rhodium is recoveries or production comes basically from the mining area, and which has to do with South Africa. And during this period, the China demand came back very strong. Next slide, please. So going back to the question of the geographical sources, South Africa and Russia accounts for more than 80% of the global PGM source. The balance is produced in Zimbabwe, Canada, and the United States. Worldwide increased unemployment attributed to COVID-19 will certainly impact the South African mining industry, that we believe overall for the year 2020, South Africa will produce 30% less PGMs because of the lockdown was for a very long period. We have seen some improvement. The other area is refineries and the recycling. Platinum, palladium, and rhodium are refined by PGM refineries, and there are only 3 major producers in the world who own the refineries, and they happen to be only in South Africa, where South Africa produces 80% of the world PGM. And these happen to be Anglo Platinum, Impala Platinum, and Lonmin. They have in-house refining capabilities, so they are more stronger. Just-on-time delivery of refined PGM is must it has to have a commitment in the commodity business. It's very essential. And the recycling ongoing, but there is a shift in how material is coming to the market, which is a very important factor. Next slide, please. Let's look at the Russian side. In Russia, we get PGM from Norilsk, which is a closed city, about 2,000–3,000 miles from Moscow. And from the COVID-related activities, it is basically very secure. We look at the South African mines, which are working now at 85% capacity and trying to ramp up the production. Prior experience in managing workforces with HIV and TB probably helped the South Africans a lot. And their shutdown for entry into the country also helped the country a lot. And South African unions are strong and successfully pushed legal guidelines for safety. On the recycling side, during the initial months, some scrapyards were closed or they were holding on to the material. This is what we saw this year. The used car sales in the USA have been extremely strong, almost double. So in the recycling, we get material from the automobile sector from 2–3 channels. One of them is the late model and wreckage vehicles, which did not come into the market for half of the year. We saw very less activity in driving. So in other words, we have sources from the automobile. One is the age of the car, where the car goes to the scrapyard. And the second one source is the last 4-year cars, which are on the road, under warranty, and they get involved in accidents. And that's a different source that we look at it different way. Our estimate is for the life of the car about 12 years. But because of the COVID-19 and the virus, we probably will see that the life of the car will increase for almost 14 or maybe a longer year. Another area of constraint is the transboundary movement of vehicles within Europe. It is going to limit the scrappage rate also. So recycling will be at a lower volume than what we have seen in the past years. Same thing goes in the United States and Canada. The transboundary movement, because the borders are closed. So all of these issues are going to limit the movements of vehicle availability in the countries where they don't produce the cars and they depend on used cars. Next slide, please. So it clearly shows that the supply and balance demand does show a reason why platinum, palladium, rhodium prices did not go down and they stayed very in balance. It's very interesting. If somebody would have asked me in the early part of the year, I wouldn't have agreed with it. But looking down the numbers now, and almost getting the fourth quarter, the car sales worldwide have crashed with an estimated 20% minimum by 2019 numbers on the passenger vehicles. And it's about going to be about 70 million units. China has recovered well with year-to-date numbers, only 10% down year-to-year. But also the reason is they have been incentivizing with the new energy vehicles. Cars for clunkers are coming with the scrapping of purchase tax benefits, subsidies until 2022. So that should give some good balance in the industry, where China produces 25% of the world vehicles. There's a huge interest in platinum investment coins and bars that we did not see for a long time. We're looking at the gold number hitting almost $2,000 and platinum still stayed at the 50% value of the gold. We have seen a big major demand of platinum in private sectors. The mine production for 2020, we believe, is going to be about 70% based on the 2019, resulting in a market to be very, very close balance, which should support the price and the cost of production basis. We know the public transportation numbers are going to be very low. The increased uses of private cars and the car sharing, carpooling will get discouraged. We will see very little effect. We have seen some improvement on the Uber in the New York or the metropolitan area, but worldwide basis, this private Uber car or private taxis or carpools, these numbers are not going to be in favorable numbers. So the question comes up is, can the public afford to buy a big ticket to purchase of cars as more layoffs are announced with the recession? Next slide, please. Getting back to the environmental control, we expect that many government bodies will relax on the implementation of emission standards, number one. Number second is that the Chinese have implemented and India have decided to implement or extend some of their relaxation. Going forward, there may be some delay that we believe. And it's going to allow them to get rid of the new cars, vehicles which are not sold in the last, 2019, 2020, and 21 cars coming into it. So getting back to environmental control, we will see a big impact that I believe we will have a balanced market. Certainly, there will be more demand of platinum. One other area which is very interesting is that no matter what happens, we have seen over the last 45 years on the recycling or the auto catalyst or the mining sector, one metal always supports and have supported the recycling and the mining. For example, this year, the ratio we are seeing on the Rhodium and Palladium uses on the industrial side is very, very high. One of the other question comes up is that will we be able to use the metal as they are produced from the mining ratio versus the requirement of Rhodium and Palladium and what on the ratio basis of the mining versus the automobile uses. This is a gray area where we see a big imbalance from the market. I will be happy to have anybody have more questions, any questions to respond.